Are you ready to trust us here at 0 Point Reviews? I don't know. I don't trust me. I don't trust Kevin. But we're talking about 1982's John Carpenter's The Thing. This is one of the wildest sci-fi movies and an instant classic, at least in my opinion. Kevin, what do you remember from first seeing this one?
I remember shame when I first saw this movie.
What?
I was in my mid-20s. I want to say I was probably 25, maybe 26 when I first saw this movie.
Okay.
And I felt a lot of shame for never having taken the time to like sit and watch it before.
Yeah.
And god damn did it blow my mind.
It's like Scanners or worse?
Scanners is a good, yeah, that's a good description. Last week was a good mind explosion, but Scanners is a much better explanation for this one.
Hey, maybe we'll cover that one eventually. For me, I never really saw much of this as like a kid. I was like 6 years old when the movie came out, so this was not in like my wheel well at that time. So I eventually saw this, I want to say like on TV during like high school, junior high, and I'd only catch like parts of it, and I was always like, it's Kurt Russell. I like Big Trouble in Little China just fine. So I'd always rest my laurels on that for a Kurt Russell, John Carpenter flick. Wasn't much for Escape from New York until much later either. But like, it wasn't until I like got to college that I saw this like in its entirety on like VHS tape. And I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty freaking good. Great horror, great atmosphere. Have a great time. Every time I watch this movie ever since then, though, it's like I almost have to, if I need to take notes for some reason, it's really hard because I just end up sitting and watching the movie. I get so captivated by it. I'm like, this is just a damn good movie. It's also one of those movies I feel like I should watch more often than I do, because the last time I remember watching this was when I bought this Arrow Blu-ray set a few years ago.
Ah. See, I still don't have that. I just have the old cheap one that's from
Universal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Yeah, here's the Arrow box set. I know there's a 4K out there in America. I actually tried to play my like Arrow Blu-ray on my 4K player that I got, and it does not work. It's not region free. I have a Blu-ray player out in the other room that is region free, but I didn't try it there. Like this set comes with like postcards. It comes with like a nice book, and for the Blu-ray case, which is over on the other table, I actually have like my my old Universal Blu-ray like you have in it, and it's got the Scream Factory Blu-ray in it, and then it's got the Arrow Blu-ray in it. The only thing not in it is the original DVD from Universal from years ago, which is in this case just in a little envelope, so it all fits in very nice and neat.
I may have that somewhere around here because
I can't get rid of that. I love that gold banner around the cover of that. It's so stunning. But like, great release.
I was stunned because my dad loved The Thing from Another World when I was
the original.
a kid. Yeah. And that was like his kind of echelon for sci-fi movies and sci-fi horror type movies. Okay. And I'd never seen it up until today, all the way through. Like I remember like the first 5 minutes of it, them going and putting their arms stretched out open like we see the Norwegians doing in this one.
Oh, right.
That's as far as I remember seeing it. And the reason why I remember being so bored by it, at least looking back on it today, is because you don't really see the Thing for the first like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, like halfway through the movie, it doesn't show up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just for a split second until the last 10 minutes. And then it gets going, and you're kind of like, why is this such a good movie? Because it's not a bad flick at all. But it's up there with movies like, goodness, what's that great Mystery Science Theater episode, Night of the Blood Beast, where everything looked like shrimp and everybody's name was Steve. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same type of plot where this frozen thing has been here for centuries longer than we have, and we thawed out and it's still alive, but it's not Reptilicus. This is much, much, much better than the original, and I don't understand why my dad didn't like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I get when you love an original, but this truly exceeds the terror factor of the original.
Well, this is one of those rare movies where the remake exceeds and outperforms and outdoes the original. I know John Carpenter liked the original enough that he felt like, hey, let's take this, let's ramp it up to 10 instead of the 3 it was running at on a 10-point scale. Add more horror. Let's do a bit of a tone shift and actually go like full nuts paranoia with this movie. And so he took a movie he liked and he made it how he would like a movie and what he envisioned it as. And that's why this one is looked at as such a classic that people forget it's actually a remake of a different movie from like 20, 30 years before it. But that's how you do a remake. You take something that was either good to maybe not so good, and you make it better without ignoring what made the first one good in the first place. You keep the spirit, you just ramp it up to 100, and let's fucking go. And I love that about this movie. Now, I didn't rewatch the original The Thing from Outer Space. It is in my collection. Great Blu-ray release from Warner Archive. So if anybody doesn't have that, we're going to have Amazon links below. Please check those out. It cuts us a few cents from Amazon. We'd appreciate it. But if you, more than anything, it gets you a link to where you can get a good price for a great Blu-ray movie release of The Thing and The Thing from Outer Space. And next week, The Thing 2011.
Which I'm really excited to see. I was curious to see it before, but now I'm excited because it actually has a decent score comparable to the original. I'm like, for true. All right, then.
Yeah, I haven't seen it before. It is in my collection. Kevin hasn't seen it before, and so that's going to be another first-time watch for us on 0-Point Reviews. So, quick little spiel for next week. So please check it out next week. But this thing is just utterly incredible, and I'm glad that they ultimately would go back to do what's essentially a prequel to this thing, where I think the 2011 one largely talks about the Norwegians, or as Kurt Russell calls them, McCready, he calls them crazy Swedes.
I have the Swedes, the Norwegians, listed.
Is it the Swedish bikini team? God damn it, Kevin.
I have them listed as silly Swedes in the lineup list. Oopsie. But I love this guy. They're flying around trying to shoot the thing.
The husky dog,
Yeah, that looks like the dog. And he gets out like super determined.
Terminator style, Ro.
Yeah, gets this grenade, pulls the pin, pulls his hand back, and opens his hand as he fucking.
Yeah, oh, bro. Only in the 80s could you do a move like that. It's like the only time in this movie it does a trope, and you're like, oh, you didn't have to do that, but it's okay. I'll give you the one gimme,
That was up there with the guy's drinking problem on Airplane.
Yeah, I would have thought Kurt Russell would have done that the way he was drinking that J&B whiskey during the first half of the movie.
He was drinking that with some love for that bottle.
I recognize that bottle. I'm like, wow, that's a bottle of whiskey that's been around for a while.
Yeah, and I don't think they've ever changed their damn label.
No, I saw that like a year or two ago, and I'm like, yeah, it's the same freaking label. That's okay.
At least they had decent enough taste, though. So
hey, if they got a sponsorship deal, even better. But this I think was before product placement started.
There was one company that just kind of put it right out there in the beginning.
Yeah, Exxon called. They want their product placement back on that one.
Yeah, they've got this beautiful snowfield to look at, which is basically nothing unless the sun's out.
Yeah.
And which all you see is like this great big blue chevron barrel, which does eventually come in handy later on.
Yes.
But at the time, you're just kind of like, why am I looking at their trash right here? That's disgusting. And granted, that was a different time back then, but still.
That's true. It was, for all the things that we saw that are product of its time, and some people may not pick up on it like now. A lot of us lived through some of these things, but just seeing like subtle things like that was very nice. And there's no cell phones in this movie. Oh my God, we lost all of our millennial viewers. That's fine too. I'm kidding. But like, it's super low tech. You can't communicate. You're on a CB radio. You can't talk to freaking anybody. They're alone, stranded at this base. This is not the definition of a claustrophobic horror movie in the Antarctic. What is? Not Ice Station Zebra. I'm telling you that.
No, like, yeah, this is kind of like Saw 2, where they're like stuck inside the building and there's no way to get out. And even if you did, you're going to die doing so. Like, or the result would end up in your death, because unlike on the original, where it's like, well, a man could only last 30 minutes out there in this weather. You're like, really? Where is this?
I don't think I'd last like 3 seconds out there, and I'm from Wisconsin,
No, man, I'm in Oregon. It's in the 30s right now, and I'm wearing my beanie. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
They made a few discrepancies in the original that they did improve upon in the sequel.
Oh God, even like the Frozen, like anybody who had a beard in this one, their whiskers were freezing the second they stepped out into the cold weather. It's like they were not on some virtual surround stage or anything like that. They did their work to make it look as authentic as they possibly could. And I appreciate that. I mean, these older movies, like you could, all the stunts, the scenery, the construction, the sets, everything, like there wasn't much budget to play around with and do like special effects and matte paintings for black backgrounds. It's what you saw is what you got with these movies, and for better or for worse, that's basically what you saw on screen. And for like this movie, it worked out perfectly. It just really lended the aesthetics to this movie. Extremely well shot, very well lit. Camera angles were great. The color was great. Thank you, Dean Cundy, for your director of photography, and just all around, just outstanding work on this movie. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I really like this movie, and a lot of the good shots of The Thing on the Blu-ray are super dark, and that was one of the things that I was kind of like, oh, but I want to show everybody because it looks so goddamn cool.
You might like the Scream Factory release that I have in this set. That's just a regular Blu-ray collector's edition they did. That is an improvement. Now, some people argue about like the colors on it, like, hey, it's Dean Cundy improve, and he said it should be like this color or this tint, or it's got a green tint or a red tint, blue, whatever. It's a bit sharper. It looks a little bit lighter. It's really good in my opinion. It's one of the few times I'll be like, yeah, well, Scream Factory did very good. Although I want to get the 4K, which is sorely missing, but only Universal released that. So.
Oh yeah, they're like that.
Yeah.
But I went around the dark images. I lightened them up on one hand, kind of like we did with the Phantom Vagina last week. Or the spectrometer. I used the toys. I found the Todd McFarlane toys, which McFarlane toys are obscenely expensive because they're very well detailed. And these objects here do show the grotesqueness of the special effects that they used. One thing I will spoil in advance is I didn't get any pictures of the dogs.
Okay.
Sorry guys, I won't. Well, maybe there's a picture of a dog, but nothing bad happening to the dogs.
Well, that's basically when you first see the creature in its full glory, is when it's ripping out outside of the husky it possessed. or imitated, I should say. Sorry.
Yeah, and that was goodness. That was one of the fantastic upgrades. We'll call them that, not creative rewrites, but upgrades to this story, because the original was so much like Alien. They find an alien, an actual alien, which is the exact opposite physiologically from humans. It's a plant instead of an animal. It's a plant that eats animals, so it's coming after us.
Yeah.
This is a cellular organism that eats other cellular organisms, so it's more like a fungus in a way, fungus type animal, and it emulates the characteristics of the creature that it's absorbing, and that's how it camouflages, grows, evolves, and its grotesqueness is beautiful.
Oh yeah, the damn thing's fucking wild. So like, Mr. Bowton, you know who you are, Rob. You are an excellent practical effects artist, and I loved his work on this movie. Dude just crushed it. It was so good. Like, how could you not make figures of this? I mean, of course, years later, but like back when this movie came out, merchandise. How do you merchandise a fucking horror movie like this in the 80s? Who would have bought that? Like, yes, some of us kids, but like not all of us.
Kenner. Hasbro.
G.I. Joe. I could just see like the G.I. Joe Hasbro line of the thing. Mattel. I can see McCready for sure, and a child, but beyond that, I don't know.
McCready's a bad motherfucker. He's one of the, like, his character is loosely based, I guess, on the main character from the old movie, as far as being a military person that's not high up in the chain. But his character's so cool. Again, kind of like Snake. He has that presence of, I will fuck you up.
Yeah, McCready's character is like the main driving force of this movie. We largely follow him. Whenever he's not on screen, we're wondering what the hell's going on. Where's he at? What's the deal? He goes missing for 45 minutes when they're supposed to be going to his cabin to see why the light was on when he turned it off when he left like an hour earlier. And we don't see him. And then the next time we see him, we don't trust him. Or do we? And it's like, what the hell is going on around here? You can't trust any of the things that you're seeing on screen until they're proven otherwise. And it really is a nice dichotomy of that. And just Kurt Russell, this role was just made for him. He went from being like this, braggadocious, drunk pilot, hey, I know what I'm doing, to I'm doing whatever I got to do to survive. Fuck the rest of you. Yeah. And then to the point of nobody's getting out of here alive, including me. It's like, whoa, that's fucking deep, dude. That's a hell of a character arc. And not just for him, but for Childs and other characters in this movie. They all have some really good character arcs.
Yes, the moment with him and Childs at the end is dope. It really
argued to this day by everybody what that ending meant and who was an alien, who was not, who was the thing, who was not.
Neither one of them were. And the reason why you know that is because the studios said, go ahead and have your ambiguous ending as long as you make it very clear that the alien is dead. And so they had to have like this enhanced scream when there's a burning scene. All right. I mean, there's a lot of different theories. Like, he was drinking the bottle that had a parasite or cells inside there that Childs drank. So now he has those cells inside of him. A whole bunch of things. But I like it for the plainest version of what it is. These two guys are fucking tired. All they have is each other and the fact that they're probably the last two normal people that are there.
Yeah. Because everybody else dead as a doornail. But you talk about fan theories. My crazy fan theory, and this is just me, I know it is, but I'm wearing this particular shirt for a reason. Weyland-Yutani. I have this wild... I know, it's going to sound fucking stupid. I don't care.
I agree with you.
My idea is like, this is where Weyland-Yutani first spawned. Hey, there's alien intelligence out there. And from that point forward, whether it was Weyland or the Yutani Corporation before they merged or whatever, this is where they first got the idea of an alien life form. And then it leads into like Aliens later. If you're into Alien versus Predator, it leads into that later too. It's the world universe of alien technology, because this is largely the first movie that's so serious and hardcore after Alien. This is before Aliens. And so I feel like Alien and The Thing is a great double feature. And if you want to look at it in a few different ways, nothing connects them. Like I'm telling you right now, it's just wild fan theory in my head of, if I'm going to watch a couple movies back to back, one of them is going to be Alien, then I'm going to watch The Thing, as it's almost like a prequel to Alien in a larger corporation. And later on, you're talking spanning like hundreds and hundreds of years. And I just love that idea. But like I said, just wild fan theory, no basis in anything.
Well, no, I mean, because in the original, it's very clear. Like they're getting, the only messages that they're getting from the military is don't kill it, restrain it. We want to study it. And like that McCready character, Pat, whatever his name was like, nope, we're going to fucking kill this thing.
Yep, fuck that. Be out. Bitch dead.
I loved his fucking enthusiasm. Like, well, I know what they said, but we're going to go kill this fucking thing anyway.
Right.
And the scientists there were much more stupid than the guys here. So the original movie had a huge cast.
Oh, big ensemble.
Yeah, this has much less. And so what you're saying kind of goes like this. It's like Ed Gein Gein inspiring Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Psycho. Alien and this particular thing both come from the Thing from Another World as far as their plot goes. Alien is very much a clone of the Thing from Another World. And this takes from the dogs and the Antarctic, which is basically the only two things that are similar. I'm going to 0 point on that because that was trailing off.
Well, the other differences are like, you got a female lead in Sigourney Weaver that ends up being like the one that navigates the ending of Alien. And then you got McCready and Childs in this one. So it's kind of like a nice opposition to one another of that, you got a strong female lead. Oh my God, strong female leads existed well before the Hunger Games. Shock. And you got like, the men surviving at the end of this, but there was literally no women in the Antarctic for this one. So you had like, you could say sausage fest, but it really wasn't like that. These guys had their areas of expertise. They were there on a team mission, and they ended up getting enveloped in the Norwegians expedition, which uncovered all this crazy shit. Like how they uncovered the fucking like UFO, and like the 100 yards away, they randomly found a freaking like square they could carve out for an alien. I mean, there's a couple things that are a little on the plot wise, but it's like, how did you randomly just pick, a square like 100 yards away from the ship that a biologic was into? How did you figure that out? That's one of those, you try not to think about like things too much, but like these older movies, there's always like a scene or two that you're always like, how did they do that? Why did they do that? Like, that makes like no sense. But then within 5 seconds, you're already thinking about what's going on in the next scene, and you've already forgotten about it. So it's not like they dwell on it too much. It's when you've seen this movie as many times as we have, you start to pick out like little things like that. But like, the movies intertwine. They could intertwine if you look at them in a certain perspective, but they don't at the same time. But these are both, this and Alien are a product of late 70s, early 80s, where atmosphere and execution of horror aspects at certain times with music, atmosphere, creature effects, if you line them up just right, it's magical. And these two movies were like lightning in a bottle. It's like a great 1-2 punch for that era of film. And between Ridley and John Carpenter, you couldn't do any better. And you didn't get any better for a long time until other, you could say Predator. You could say Aliens if you're a big James Cameron fan. But once you got to Aliens, it was more of an action horror movie than atmospheric horror and things like this. So it was different. It evolved.
Yeah. And in a way, that's okay because that is more lucrative, I think. So, right. I mean, the IP is going to grow that way. This moment here, I think, for Carpenter is the lightning in the bottle, the moment that makes this movie the best reboot ever done or the best remake ever done. The best idea ever is adding a little bit of the Red Scare McCarthyism into it.
Yeah.
This is what they don't have in the original. So here's the dog. Who that shadow belongs to isn't clear until almost the very end of the movie.
Yep.
Long after you've already seen other people be infected. Like, this makes the audience feel just like MacReady, feel just like Copper or I can't think of Wilford Brimley's name.
Oh, let's see.
The other doctor.
Blair.
Blair, yes. This, it makes you feel more like them and have that paranoia towards the rest of the cast. And Brimley has it here. Like, he looks very consternated, like he's constipated. But this is him realizing that the other guy that was the dog keeper, basically, for lack of a better term, was with this other dog for over an hour, and that the dog had been loose all night throughout the entire camp.
Yep.
And that instantly drives him nuts. And we don't know at what point does he become infected.
Yeah, there's quite a few of the characters. It's like, well, wait, when the hell did that possibly happen? Like, did they drink something? They eat something? They touch something? How is the transference even remotely possible? We see various characters get sprayed in the face with some liquid at some point. Like, it's strange. You never quite understand how the transmission occurs. And so it's like, wait, how does this really happen then? And when does it become an imitation? How does it get rid of the other bodies? You know, yada, yada, yada. But that's what keeps the movie rolling. It keeps you guessing like, hey, wait a minute, when did that fuck it? It makes you want to rewatch the movie and try and pick out exactly when they might have gotten infected or replaced or imitated, and in what scene, or if there was something you were missing. It's great. That's the kind of movie I really like, is makes you think back, hey, maybe I need to watch this movie again. Oh, darn.
But you just watched it and it's 3 hours. But I gotta know.
And no, it's not a 3 hour movie. It's like an hour and 40. Wait, hour 50?
It doesn't feel as long as, say, like Escape from New York.
Hour and 49 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's longer than Escape from New York, but it doesn't feel as long. Like,
oh, hell no.
It's pretty got you on the edge of your seat the entire time. And there is more action happening in this than there is, in the original. But it's spread out. Yeah. And the suspense is spread out. And it's just very masterfully done. Yes, he's the master of horror, but this is why. This is the movie that was like, bang, there's the bar. That's where everyone's got to fucking be to get to the next level.
Yeah, you'd think it's Halloween or any of the other movies he's might have done. This is the mic drop moment of, you want something that'll make you tense and stressed out while you're watching it, and in an enjoyable way. This is that fucking movie from John Carpenter. This thing is the shit, and in a great way. Because when I watch this movie, I always feel tense and stressed, but in a good way. It's like, I know how it ends, but the build up, and you get invested in the characters and the story, and it just pulls you in. And then, like, literally the first 30 seconds of this movie is quiet, and it slowly introduces that music to you very, very low, and then it starts to build more and more and more, and then you're into the movie, and it's like, oh shit, we're in for a ride. Because movies aren't constructed like that these days. They're just not. It's a subtlety to them and an art. And this is one of the best horror movies John Carpenter's ever made. I love Halloween, but even I admit The Thing is a better movie.
As far as like my favorite horror films go, or as far as I could see, like the best two that I've ever seen that are scary, this and The Exorcist are probably neck and neck.
There you go.
The Exorcist, if you grew up with a religious background, will fuck you up. If you grew up in, say, like in the Red Scare during the bomb, this will fuck you up. Like you will have trust issues in real life for the rest of your life. But it's great. But this movie also has these beautiful special effect moments where you're disgusted, but you can't look away because it's so creative.
The
Swedes, the silly Swedes, were killing themselves because they didn't want to turn into any of the organisms, but it was so cold that their blood froze as it was coming out of their veins.
That was so dope. That was wow. That was very cool. That's where you see like influences from like Dead Space 3 is like, I think they watched I think they liked the Thing movie from John Carpenter. And he should direct a fucking Dead Space movie. Thank you very much. Come on, EA, get off your ass. Let's do this shit.
He's probably waiting for that because it's like, he's knowing him, he's played that game. Like,
and we've mentioned it before, like that is like tailor-made for his name. His name is on it. They need to just get off there. If that's his retirement fucking movie, let's fucking go. Give him a blank check, whatever he wants. Let's just fucking do it. It will be great. I trust him to do that. Like, I know some of his last few movies haven't been like wonderful, but he's very invested in video games. He likes he's on record saying he likes the Dead Space games. Let's fucking go. Let's just do it. Just give him a team he can work with and let's fucking go.
Yeah. Get us McCready back, goddammit.
Or just name somebody McCready the Third or something in here. Or Commander McCready. You know, you could do it. You've nicknamed people after Romero and Cronenberg in half your movies anyway. Let's just fucking go.
Knowles. The character Knowles. That's the only name that comes from the first movie to the second, or from the original to this.
I didn't catch that actually.
Yeah, Knowles was one of the backup characters, or gets mentioned for something in the act art in that movie, and I was like, "Oh, okay, write that down for later." Note for self.
That's a dope tidbit. I never caught that before, so thank you.
Yeah. And what else? Speaking of him, that was a little fucked up because they do tropes in this movie, and you kind of see the bit of the stereotyping and racism here, and you want to feel bad for thinking it. Like, is it me? Is it just me, or is it the biker vet and the black dude that are sitting there getting stoned, and everyone else is out drinking?
I didn't mind that. That was okay. I didn't find that to be stereotypical. I just thought it was funny. Because he's lighting up and you're thinking like, he's just sitting over on his bucket. And once he lights up the weed, it's like, yo, over here, pass it around, yo. It's like, yeah.
Like, that's my family. I understand that. That's why I'm kind of like, I feel seen. Like, these are going to be the people that die later. Why is that?
Like, most of the characters, none of them are really so dickish that you can't get into them. The only ones who seem to be like that are like the crazy Swedes at the beginning. Nah, I know they're Norwegian. I'm just doing a gag.
This guy right here, you knew was gonna fucking die because he was talking shit on Stevie Wonder.
Bastard.
As soon as he said that about Stevie, all I could hear was Eddie Murphy going, "I heard that, motherfucker."
Eddie Murphy, 1980s Eddie Murphy. He the man, bitch.
Oh, he had this wonderful bit about people hating him because he cracked a joke on Saturday Night Live about Stevie Wonder being blind. And It goes on to keep talking about Stevie, and like he's got this third voice in the back of his head, kind of throwing his voice. I heard that, motherfucker. Stevie take the wheel and can't see. Ha ha, fly into a tree. Anyway, I can't do it.
Now I want to watch like Eddie Murphy Raw and like Beverly Hills Cop now all of a sudden.
Anyway, yeah, that guy, he turns into the alien. He's the first guy that we really see turn into an alien here. And his hands, as Brimley talked about before, he didn't get a chance to finish forming, and his hands looked all weird and alien-like. The rest of him was a man, and he screamed like an alien, and it was so cool.
Yeah, that's when you knew, oh shit, things are about to get really fucked up now. If you didn't think they were fucked up before. Like the howl that came from it, and like I love the fact of using like the blow torches and just setting them on fire. Like, bring the blowtorch.
Lighting up the dog was amazing. Like when he let that thing go.
The nature boy would be proud.
Oh yeah, like as soon as that dragon let open its breath, all I could hear was, woo! Keep it going! Yeah!
Where's the marshmallows at, yo? Let's get some s'mores going. We got roasted dog.
Roll Charlie around. See, that's another callback to Eddie. Anyway, people who went, oh, I don't know. And I do think I know where Brimley might have contracted the cells, and that was during the autopsy.
Oh, okay.
Where he's
that makes sense.
He's cutting it open.
Yeah.
And he's trying to he's finding all the different parts. And it was all twisted inside.
Oh, wow.
I needed the money.
I'll throw back to our Drawn Together episodes on our podcast. We're talking about Drawn Together right now, and he just used the octopoussoir.
It's French. I pinky swear. But that would be my guess. And Lord only knows how long he's been possessed or emulated, absorbed, I don't know what you want to call him, throughout the entire flick, as he's begging to be let out, like trying to
let back into the building. He's in a warm spot, but he keeps begging to be let back into the main facility, which I don't know. That's when I start picking up, hey, something's really fucking wrong with this guy. If he's begging to be let back into the main facility, he's missing parts for the fucking ship he needs. That's why he wants out.
Yeah, I didn't remember that at all. I was like, oh shit, he's building all that underneath. Okay.
Somebody was watching Batteries Not Included before it was ever made. Kidding.
That's funny. But yeah, no, Brimley's character was fantastic. I like him in this probably more than like Cocoon or anything else I've seen him in. And I know Cocoon's like the stereotypical movie, but
well, what throws me every time I watch this movie is he's without his freaking like standard mustache. It's like, yo, did Sam, like there's that other known actor, Sam. God, what's his name? He was in Ghost Rider and whatnot.
Elliot?
Yeah, Sam Elliott. It's like if he were to ever shave off his mustache, you'd be like, I recognize the voice, but who the fuck is that? That's how I have with Wilford Brimley. I'm so used to him with the mustache. It's like, I hear it, but I can't see it. I just can't see it. What?
Where is he?
But also, he's in a hard horror sci-fi movie, so obviously you want to try and do something different so people aren't like, oh, it's that guy from like whatever show, sitcom drama show that's on ABC. No, this is a horror movie, yo. Like, we got to do something different with this guy, and if he's willing to shave his mustache for a few months, let's do it.
Let's do it. Did you have a favorite outbreak of the thing or explosion of the creature? Because that's kind of the only way I could think of describing how it unveils itself. It's like an explosion of cellular mass.
I have to say the dog one, when we first get introduced to that as a concept. I will say, like, my favorite effect is basically when they uncover the ones from the Norwegian campsite.
Yeah.
And they unveil that for the first time. It's like, what the fuck happened here? What the hell is this shit? And then ultimately you see how the thing transforms, mutates, and imitates other creatures and then human beings. So it's like, wait, what is going on here? Like, that is fucking grotesque. And then you see how it actually happens. It's like, whoa, shit. And the fact that it starts with, you know, further down the food chain with like a dog and then works its way up to a human being is very crazy and wild. So seeing it first with the dog and then with a human, just, it felt like it was constantly evolving. And so it completely would keep changing your expectations on what was going on and what you would see next. But I'd go with the transformation with the dogs. I love dogs. I didn't like seeing that, but no animals were harmed in the making of this movie. So
that's what they say, but I have a qualm about this. Now, it's not the blood on the animals that gets me. It's not the gore. It's the dog trying to chew its way through the chain link fence and succeeding. I know it's probably not really chewing through metal, but
that wasn't metal.
Yeah, it looked like it was chewing something like
tough,
vigorously, intently.
Yeah, they probably used something that the dog could eat through and not hurt itself. So it was all about like the cinematography of that, like how they shot it, what it actually was. They didn't give you enough up close detail of what it was chewing, or it would have had like bleeding teeth and like gums and whatnot from going at that thing.
Yeah.
But largely when they opened up the door the first time, the two dogs charged out, that jump scare gets me like every fucking time.
Stay here and die.
I don't normally get caught on jump scares, but that one gets me like every time because I always forget about it. Because he comes up to the door and he's like, what is going on in there? They open the door and the two dogs just charge right out and knock him on the ground. They go running off. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
We don't have to outrun the bear.
My little baby girl back here on the couch, Lily. You see her, the white cat over there. She was on me when I was watching this the other night. And boy, when that happened, she went flying because I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I bet.
And she came back like 10 minutes later. She's like, are you done now, Dad? It was kind of funny. But she's my horror baby. She always hangs out with me with horror movies.
I dig that. That's how Zoe is with me. Like, Harley's okay for a little bit if she likes the movie. Like, I haven't let her watch Willie's Five Nights at Freddy's yet. Just
okay.
I want to watch it first. Because I want to see it uninterrupted and not have spoilers. People are like, sure. Oh, that's good. That's good parenting. No, I just don't want the spoilers. But
well, if you're worried about like gore or anything like that movie is not gory. It is not scary.
Yeah,
I don't even worry about like that. But if you just want to see the movie for like the story by yourself first, I totally get that. But if you're worried about like any gore or anything like that for Five Nights, you're fine. If you're talking about this movie, I'd be like, she needs to be 18 before you show her this shit because of what it'll do to her psyche.
Yeah, some of it's really cool. Like Zoe would probably really dig this shit. Yeah. Like what you're saying, when the dog opens, the skin opens up on the dog, and then the head opens up that much further, and then shoots out the liquid at the other dogs. So you're just kind of like, oh, it just makes your flesh crawl a little bit. It's cool.
It's almost like where they got the idea from for Stranger Things with the creature effect they have in there, where the head opens up like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I totally dig. It's an homage. It's not a ripoff.
Oh, of course. My favorite explosion or oh god, there it is where they try to revive the other redhead guy and give him the ADR paddles. This was some shit because not only is he not complete on the inside, he's completely different, like biologically. Instead of ribs, he has teeth that just bite this guy's fucking hands off.
Hey, at least that actor had something he could sink his teeth into.
Right? That was a role you can truly
Yeah.
And then his head tries to run away.
That had the greatest line in this fucking movie. Are you fucking kidding me? And everybody turns to look at it like, what the fuck is that shit? That was so good. I love that line.
Well, I'm sitting there like,
fucking kidding me?
yeah. And this is kind of like Rocky for me, where it's like I've seen it a bunch of times, but I always forget what happens, and I'm always suspensefully watching it.
Right.
So
that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah. Is this thing going to get away? Does it get away? Does it get away? I don't fucking remember. Yes, I argue with myself. And then, so they blow his fucking, I want to say blow his head off, but they blowtorch his head completely. But the fact that it sprouts eyes from the bottom of the neck coming up is just so cool.
The
so
spider legs and everything. It's so wild. It's crazy. And we call it blowtorch. It's a flame. We know. But like, you almost want to call it like a butane, like flame lighter, you know, lighter. It's so much fun, but torching them that is such a cool concept to torch them, and don't let them freeze or they'll just keep hibernating until the end of time. Is like, oh my God, that's great.
Yes. And it's like, you have to keep burning them. And they don't really figure that out until the very, very end. And that's where I kind of found the last and biggest loophole. Like, what difference does it make if you light a big old fire in the middle of this camp? It's underneath the camp in the snow,
tunneled out.
To Lord only knows where, and frozen again. So it's almost like Indiana Jones, where it's like they're just kind of caught there, and this thing is still stuck in the snow, waiting to fucking reproduce again.
Right.
Sequel time.
That's what I'm saying. But at least the next movie that we get is more of a prequel for the Norwegians, which is fine by me. That's a story we'd like to see more of anyway, because of what they were tipping off when they went to the camp and the space wreck and everything like there. It's like, there's obviously more of a story here you can tell. So that's why I'm so eager to get into the next one, even though I don't think they had much to do with John Carpenter in that one. We'll get more into the development when we get to that one next week. But in and of itself, there is so much juiciness to this movie, like story-wise, character-wise. It's so rich in so many different ways. I need to see this movie more often. I really should. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm glad I don't watch it so often that I'm bored by it. So it's a nice balance. Every so often I'll fire this bad boy up and be like, that's why I like this movie. I should see this more often. Then 2 or 3 years later, I should see this more often. So
yeah. And then try to forget, who is it that's going to get infected?
Right.
Because inevitably I always do forget. But at this point, I'm kind of like, oh, it's all the redheads. God, you racist motherfucker.
Well, I love the McCready test. That was so much fun. I call it the McCready test. Nobody else calls it. At least I don't think so. If other people do, that's great. But like, hey, I'm going to cut you. We're going to bleed you out a little bit. Then we're going to stick your blood with something hot. And if it reacts to it, you're the thing. If it doesn't, you're okay. Yeah. Stay away from me, motherfuckers. I got dynamite.
May I just say this about that? The guy that had the moment with the dog alone, or the hour alone with the dog, was thinking he was going to get wise and shiv McCready from behind, and he was more than ready to sacrifice himself, and he did.
Right between the fucking eyes.
And I love
that was so good.
I love Childs there in the background going, all right, well, just stand the fuck here. Do your thing.
He's just like, all right, he did.
All the while not realizing that the real threat was the pothead biker all along.
It was in the doobie. I knew it.
It was in the doobie. What's in this shit? Alien dust.
Hey, it's 420 all the time now.
420 all the time. Speaking of which, something that the original movie had that this didn't was debauchery. Did you notice any of that?
No, I don't.
I've
Of another movie I should see probably sometime soon.
Okay, so I know this seems like I'm going to go into one of my jokes or Photoshop things, but this is not that. This is a still from the original movie with the main character, Patrick, and the leading lady, who was only allowed in the room if she was serving coffee or if he said that she could be there. This is how they first hung out. She's got him tied up playfully and giving him shooters. It's exactly what it looks like. Like it's.
Let me get a towel. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm good. No, I'm kidding.
It's exactly what it looks like. And the best part is
it up, buddy.
Yeah, she goes, well, I don't think I would have had the courage to do that had you not been, tied up the whole time. And he goes, yeah, me neither. He goes, just walks away. He wasn't tied down at all.
Hey, as long as he swallowed instead of spitting, that works too.
That's true. And he wasn't a jerk off about it, which was nice.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, the last thing that I had from the original was, again, for our Misty friends, this gentleman right here, one of the few people that does survive, is Joe from This Island Earth, also known as Weenie Man.
G.I. Joe.
Into the Weenie Mobile. Weenie Man away. But he was much cooler in this, by the way.
Yeah.
Or in that, excuse me, not this, because we're talking about this thing, not that thing.
But what about that thing?
Maybe. Which?
This thing.
Yes. Which you already know at this point. I'm like, why haven't I done the thing yet? Like, that's just kind of right there.
Maybe we'll do it next week. I don't know. I don't know what Kevin does for his slides. He sometimes shares them with me, but I don't look at them anyway. Unless he really needs an opinion on, is this YouTube acceptable or not?
The only one that might have been questionable was the Carradine suite. And that's only if YouTube's not into that sort of thing. So I guess maybe they did have a little bit of S&M there.
Well,
but he
Matt
was just
and Trey
by himself.
went there anyway, so.
Just
for that, if you don't strike us, Matt and Trey, we're going to do basketball for you. Or Team America.
God, I don't know about that, but basketball is fucking. Ooh.
You can get me on that one. Hey, if you throw a comment below, you want us to ever do like basketball by the creators of South Park, throw it below. If there's enough comments and some likes on that, we might just do it next year. Just saying.
People are going to get mad at me for when I start laughing hysterically and uncontrollably and unrelentingly when they get to a certain...
Jenny McCarthy?
No. The coming up next on Fox segment.
I know what you're talking about. That is... We will cross that bridge when we get there.
I'm thinking of those raccoons going up and over now.
All I say is don't liposuction that one.
No liposuction that one. Shit.
Anyway, back to the thing.
The thing. Oh, and then we'll have Miss Thang. And okay. All right. I gotta stop. That's my 0 point for the night. The big 0 point for the night. Because now I'm going to be doing like, what can we do now?
That's okay. Got any more fun slides for us before I wrap it up, Kevin?
Yeah, this guy here. I liked him, but you didn't see enough of him. Fuchs.
Oh, yeah.
And he
just kind of disappears for a while.
He does. I mean, because he's the guy that's basically snooping around and seeing everything happen and forcing McCready to listen. But I had to stop at this point here looking at him because one, he's outside with his jacket open. But let's take a look at this jacket here. This jacket is roughly going for about, say, $1,300 on the internet because it looks something like Ghostbusters. A parka that this guy probably spent like $50-$60 at the time. It's $1,300 today.
It's just missing the fox fur around the collar or whatever fur that is.
Honestly, that's probably warmer.
Very well could be. It was a Kmart special, at least. So, blue light special.
Yeah, I was going to say the blue light special. Attention, Kmart shoppers.
Attention, Kmart shoppers. Kevin, ultimately, you love this movie, or do you just like it?
I love this movie. I think this is one of the few perfect horror films. Not just perfect movies, but perfect horror films.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love everything about this movie. I actually want to try and get the soundtrack if I can somewhere. I don't know if it's on like Spotify, Amazon, wherever. But I think I'm going to be taking a look for the CD because I don't know. I just happened to catch this because my surround sound is finally working in this room and in a better room than our last house. And so I was just like in awe listening the entire time. Like, this is how I prefer a movie soundtrack to be. Just piping through all 5 channels and the subwoofer. It was great home theater experience. So I'm all about this movie. I absolutely love this movie. It's John Carpenter's one of his utmost best movies. So if you like this movie, if you liked our review, hey, go to that little description below. Not everybody does, but we got Amazon affiliate links below. If you do that, it kicks us back a few cents. If you buy that Blu-ray, you buy that 4K, we'll have all the links below. If you don't, that's okay. We totally get it. Just saying it's there. It would help us out and support us in a way. Otherwise, please like this video. Comment below. What are your favorite moments? Do you have any favorite characters? Do you have any wild fan theories like I did? Or who do you think was an alien at the end? Childs or McGreedy? We'd love to hear those comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell notification. Stay tuned for all of our videos because we got more coming your way with next week's 2011 The Thing. So thank you for tuning in, Screamers. We'll see your ass next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.